tell us a bit about the department that you look after, because you look after investing in new technologies. But what
That's
exactly
correct.
is it all about?
Right, thank you. I head up the Venture Capital SBU in IDC. We invest in new technologies of South African origin.
Right.
But it has to be technology based.
Okay.
We look for global uniqueness in technologies. So it's a very specific investment mandate. It's not general venture capital as such.
Because you have to have a strategy, right? You can't just do a bit here and a bit there. So you've made the decision to go into new technologies. Give us some examples of the inventions or the new technologies that you've invested in.
I believe you've already profiled one of the investments that we've made. JJ Fulyun of Iluba Flowers. We're in the studio the other day, and so it's that specific technology is technology that preserves roses,
Right.
which makes fresh roses last for at least 6 months.
Would you look at as a specific industry, Christo? So new technology is right, but does it need to be industry specific, for example, medical or agriculture, or is it across the board?
Not at all. We don't restrict ourselves. We look at any technology. We have, in fact, made quite a few investments in medical devices. And yes, we have an investment portfolio of 20 investments to date. We've been going for 3 years, and it's across industries.
So what is the process? If someone has a big idea and they want to approach an investor, where do they start?
That's normally quite a challenge for investors. My advice to investors would be fund yourself for as long as possible, because the idea is to build up value in your intellectual property, so that when you eventually approach the funder, that you'll be diluted as little as possible. So use your own money at first. Then, as far as possible, if you have family and friends with money, get some money from them. After that, go to wealthy individuals, also referred to as angel investors. And only after that, go to the venture capitalists. And then once you're ready to go to the venture capitalists, go to the SAFCA, South African Venture Capital and Private Equity Association's website, and you'll find that there are about 17 active venture capital investors in South Africa. But the important thing to remember there is that every venture capital fund has a very specific investment mandate.
Yeah.
So we have the focus on new globally unique technologies. Yeah. And so every venture capital fund would have a specific mandate. So do your homework and go and look at the various funds' websites and try and find a fit. See which of these funds is the best fit for your business or your new technology.
That makes a lot of sense, instead of just sending it out there and spreading yourself thin.
Correct.
So at what point do you know this product's going to work? We're investing in this product's going to work, or do you think there's always a risk element involved, Christo?
Venture capital is a highly risky business. You know, what we rely on a lot is obviously the technical competence, because an inventor in the first instance has to be a technical person. So can this person develop what he says he can develop? And we would normally want to see some form of prototype to develop or to demonstrate the technology to some level. But then very importantly, we want to see that all the skills are there that are required to make a success of the business. So it's not only about the technical skills. And normally inventors are very technically orientated, so they do not necessarily have the other business skills,
right,
such as marketing and sales.
Yeah.
And we then want to see that the entrepreneur at least acknowledges and realizes where the competency gaps are, and then has a plan in place to bring those skills on board at the appropriate time.
Because it's all good and well to get, you know, to deliver the product, but like you say, getting it on shelves and commercializing it is a different story.
Absolutely. We've seen so far, as I've mentioned before, we've been investing for 3 years. About 2/3 of the investments that we've made have already gone into commercialization, and the challenges only really start when you start selling your product. To develop the product, yes, there are also challenges there and there are setbacks, but that risk can normally be taken care of. But breaking into a market, making that first sale, that's actually the biggest challenge of them all.
What would you say is the success rate, just very generally, of these big ideas?
The well-established norm in the venture capital industry, and remember the United States and other parts in the world have been doing this for very long, is that for every 10 investments that you make, you'll have one that is very successful, and that will give you your overall required return on your portfolio. 2 or 3 will prod along and they'll survive, but won't necessarily give you great returns, and then unfortunately the rest of them will fail.
Risky business, but you guys are doing a great job. Christo, Fourie, thank you so much for joining us today.